I go to the cloud.
Okay, so here we are in the fall 2024 semester, our colloquium. We are happy to have the second installment of Nick Smythe's knowledge and expertise on eye tracking, which has become a very popular modality for helping with peak performance and helping people to become more focused on the moment and seeing where their eyes are tracking and what they're looking at, and trying to teach them how to be more present, and that's only one aspect of it. I'll let Nick take over from here.
Thank you, Cynthia. How I'm going to start this presentation is that we have a device that's called the Gaze Point 3. There's several companies out there. This is just one that Rich's Foundation, I believe, purchased for students to use. And they're out of Vancouver, Canada, and the founder, his name is Johnny. And he took the time out today to do a video that I'm going to share with you to start off, to go over the ins and outs of his particular product. I believe they came into market in 2014 with the objective to have eye tracking devices at a price point of $5,000 or less, because some of them are upwards of $18,000, $20,000, just depending on the software packages. And so I'm going to start off with a video with him, and then I'm going to show you on one of my screens some stuff that he's going to talk about, but I'm going to go in more detail with it. Okay, so I'm going to share it, and he's going to, and during this video, there's one segment, play kind of close attention to when he starts talking about the Doritos video, and I think it's real interesting to give you a really good idea about eye tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and start the video. Can everybody hear everything?
Yes. Okay. Well, we don't hear the video. No.
Don't hear the video. Oh, okay.
You might have to set up your Zoom to project your computer sound.
My computer doesn't project sound. My monitors don't have sound on it. Let me see. Let me see if there's a different way I can do this.
I believe it is. Let's see.
Let's see here.
Hey, Nick, if you unshare the screen and you go back into your Zoom settings, there's a box you have to click at the bottom before you hit share that says share sound.
Okay.
Right.
Let me see. Okay, let me try that. Okay. So at the bottom of the screen?
Well, you'll click share screen, and then it gives you the options of like what to capture. There's a little box you click that says
I see share sound. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and get this back started. We're getting sound?
I am not hearing it.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me try a different way.
Hello, Nicholas and members of Saybrook University. My name is Johnny, and this morning I'm going to give you a quick overview of GazePoint eye tracking products and possibly how they may be utilized in the realm of psychophysiology research. GazePoint offers eye tracking products, and they are quite straightforward. It's a system that can show stimuli on a screen and collect, capture, and record the eye gaze position in response to the stimulus. In conjunction to eye tracking, we have also added the capability via a hardware add-on kit called the Biometrics hardware to allow researchers to collect also heart rate and galvanic skin response in conjunction with eye tracking data and pupil size change. So I have a video here that demonstrates a typical eye tracking experiment. On the left is the researcher with a Windows computer, and on the right is the test subject with a 24-inch monitor connected via an HDMI cable and the eye tracker, mounted to the monitor via our VISA brackets. The first step is to perform a calibration, and this process takes about 7 or 8 seconds. The subject simply needs to follow the white dot on the screen, and then a series of 11 targets appear on the screen, and we ask the subject to look at center, top right, bottom left, bottom right. If they can nicely hit these targets with their eyes, we consider the calibration successful. The next step is to create the experiment. In this demo,
I've lost sound. Has everyone else lost sound?
It's buffering. I don't know why. Let me just go over. Let me just do this. Let me just go over it. Okay, if anybody wants the video, do that. I'm going to share my other screen and I'll go over the next part and try to take it from there. Let me go ahead and go here. Stop
You're gonna
sharing.
want the video, Nick. Please send it to me as well.
Oh, sure enough. Let me just get this other screen up here to share. Get it up. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
No, you took it away.
Oh, I took it away. Okay, golly. I'm just having a hard time driving today. Okay. Okay.
It's coming
And-
up.
All right. The eye tracking by GazePoint allows you to, it's a 2-screen system. And as Johnny mentioned, they have a add-on that you can measure galvanic skin response and heart rate. And there's some statistics that it puts out. I'm not too familiar with how they calculate the algorithm, but it also comes with a pad that allows you to turn left or right for designating positive or negative feedback during a situation. This is the interface that he was getting into, and what this software allows you to do is that you can use text, you can use web, you can use an application. What you see on my screen is a still shot from the multi-attribute task battery that NASA uses for training astronauts for multitasking, and the military uses. You can put an image in there, an app. There's something called Smythe that you can get from GitHub, that you can develop other different type of projects, and it's all laid out in their manual, depending on what your particular interest in research would be. I had alluded to earlier about this Doritos commercial, and what they did is during a football game, they had a commercial which had people basically sitting in an aircraft, and they're passing a Doritos bag around. And what they did is that they had people look, and they would look at the faces. It found out that that's about 94% of the time that people would look at faces first. And then what they were trying to do is see when they would look at the Dorito bag, because it was a Doritos commercial. And you're able to, they were able to track how long individuals looked at the bag, how long they stayed on it, if they went away and came back, what that time was that they went away, and what time they came back, how their movement was. And they do that by taking individual people that have gone through looking at the commercial, and they aggregated all of their eye movements together, and they come up with what's called a bee swarm plot. And what is so interesting in that commercial is that you got all these different colored dots around, and you're able to see them looking at the face, going to the Doritos bag and back. But then most of the time they were looking at the people's faces and not the Doritos bag, and they were spending something like 4 seconds on just looking at the bag and spending more time looking at people's faces as they were walking through. So you can use it for marketing. I thought that was pretty interesting. In our line of work, you can, for me, and some of y'all dealing with peak performance, optimal performance, you may be able to use it to see how people what they're looking at the time that you're interested at. So here, my example that I have chosen to use is this test stresses you on doing multiple tasks. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to run it, and then I'm going to go through some of the information, okay? So this is a project that I created today, and we can collect data, visualize data. Down here at the bottom, I have gone to, and I have selected under visualization of data, I have selected that I would like to see the left pupil in millimeters and the percent change in the left pupil, right pupil millimeter, and the right pupil percent change. Now, as you see, I can change to look at, although we don't have the biometric add-on, if we did, we could look at heart rate if we were interested in that, percent change, pulse, the interbeat interval, GSR. I could look at blink rate, anything that would be interesting to me for my particular project. Now, up here, there's these different type of maps, and I'm going to play this example out for you, looking at these different types of maps and explain them. First, there's what's called a fixation map, okay? A fixation map is going to show lines and circles, and the circles are going to be numbered. The top number in the circle is a count number. So if you ever wanted to stop and go back to a particular count, say you wanted to go back to I count 5, you would be able to find it. And then it would tell you how long the gaze point is at that particular point. So I'm going to play that for you. And you'll be able to see it come across the screen. you see the numbers popping up. And again, if I pause that, you'll see the top number is the count number, and then the bottom number is how long my eyes were on that particular area. Now, I went ahead and set this up. I set this gaze duration up for a half second, and I put my total duration for this particular experiment for 30 seconds. Okay. Now, what I should do is tell you a little bit more about the actual what I'm looking at. This might be why it's important to me, is that I have to keep a heading. I have to keep these tanks balanced at 2,500 pounds of fuel each with the burning fuel, and I have pumps that control at different flow rates. As the researcher, I know what the flow rates are. The subjects would not know what the flow rates are. There's audio coming through with a particular call sign. In this case, it's NASA 504. They will call nav1 or nav2 or com1, com2 out, and you would have to adjust the frequency. You have resource management up here. You got caution lights coming off. So you're being tasked with a whole bunch of different things. So you have to scan and see how much time to where you're gonna, you can see where a person is gonna be focused at. For me, I always tend to focus more up on the fuel because to me that's the most difficult thing to maintain. And you would see this more here if I do a heat map. I'm gonna play a heat map for you. This shows where I concentrate most of my eye movement, my eye focus on a particular spot. So when I play this through, you can see as it moves through that I'm trying to scan, and this was a little difficult trying to do it on myself, but as you can see, my scan pattern is a little bit erratic, and you can see down at the bottom, because this is the researcher's view, down at the bottom here, my left and right pupil size and the percent changes in as I'm going across the screen and what I'm focusing on. And then there's what's called a opacity map. It shows exactly where I'm looking at. So if I play this for you, you can see now this is like being in back of my head, looking through my eyes. You can see where my eyes are drifting across and what I'm trying to look at. And then we have what's called the bee swarm, which is going to be in all the sessions that I ran. Each one of those dots represents a particular session I ran. And so it's going to be like little bees or gnats kind of buzzing around and showing you for where each session I was focusing in on. And again, you can see most of my area is down toward the resource management of the fuel. And again, I can change out what I'm interested here, but due to us having the basic entry-level model, pupil percentage change is one of the things that we would want to look at. Now, why? Let me back up. Okay, up here in the upper left, you can see these are my eyes. Okay, you can see the squares around the eyes, which during the calibration process, now Johnny talked about the calibration process taking like 5 seconds. I'm going to be honest with you, it takes a little bit longer than that because the individual that you're testing, if they're not wearing glasses, needs to be approximately 65 centimeters away from the device, and it has to be able to, it's got and I'll show it to you in just one second. It has to be 65 centimeters, and then that person needs to kind of stay in a still position. If you wear glasses, it's about 50 centimeters. And it took me probably about 2 tries to go through the calibration process just to get my eyes on. But once you get through the calibration process, then it's locked onto that person's eyes as long as they're, not bouncing and moving. Recommending that you use adjustable height chair so you'll be able to maintain, consistency. And that is basically what you can do with it. Again, if I wanted to open a project, I could tell it I wanted to open a project. I would have to create a new name, and I would create a new name. And because I've been making this error because it has to be in a different folder for each project. So I'm going to have to tell it it's a new project and give it to it and see if it will allow me to do it. This is one thing I don't like about CasePoint. You have to create multiple files to open and close the project. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you more of the eye movement. So just give me 1 second here. So I have to close out of it and get it to do it.
When you have a chance, could you see whether the original video is working yet? Whether
Yes, I have it. I can try it and we'll go over it. What I wanted to really stress on eye tracking with this particular model, you can have the researchers on one side and you got the subject on the other side, but you can have somebody even on a mobile phone hooked up going through a web page, and you can see where they're looking at the web page. So if you're a designer for user interfaces software, that's going to be important to you. Marketing, putting ads up on web pages, that may be important to individuals. In our line of work, there's people that you could put different faces up there and get emotional responses out of it and use it. There is a list that I can provide you that will, there's over 100 papers that have been published from the Journal of Medicine, the Department of Navy, on using this software for different applications, from optimal performance to task load, just depending upon your question. On your particular question, it can be used. It has the capability of using, like I said again, I know I'm repeating myself, text, a URL, a photo, and an actual application you can put in there and track eye movement. So that's what's really interesting about this. Let me see about the video, like Rich asked. Are y'all getting any sound?
No,
No,
Are you getting any sound?
no.
no sound.
Y'all hear me? You hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
no sound.
I hear you, but I don't hear the
We
video.
hear- Yeah, we hear you, but not the video.
Did you guys get any sound?
No.
Okay, let me try it one more time.
Theology research.
Yes, we
Thank
can hear it.
you. Yes.
BasePoint offers eye tracking products, and they are quite straightforward. It's a system that can show stimuli on a screen and collect, capture, and record the eye gaze position in response to the stimulus. In conjunction to eye tracking, we have also added the capability via a hardware add-on kit called the Biometrics hardware to allow researchers to collect also heart rate and galvanic skin response in conjunction with eye tracking data and pupil size change. So I have a video here that demonstrates a typical eye tracking experiment. On the left is the researcher with a Windows computer, and on the right is the test subject with a 24-inch monitor connected via an HDMI cable, and the eye tracker, mounted to the monitor via our VISA brackets. The first step is to perform a calibration, and this process takes about 7 or 8 seconds. The subject simply needs to follow the white dot on the screen, and then a series of 11 targets appear on the screen, and we ask the subject to look at center, top right, bottom left, bottom right. If they can nicely hit these targets with their eyes, we consider the calibration successful. The next step is to create the experiment. In this demo, we are doing a web test on Google News. So here we've started the gaze point analysis software, and we create a new folder for the project. And then we need to specify the start URL, and then the experiment can begin. Once we start the experiment recording, the system will, in this case, launch a standard browser, Chrome in this case, and the start URL on that page. The subject gets presented with a standard browser, and they are freely able to browse. And the researcher in real time can see the view of the eye tracker, which is this black and white facial image. And we can see the subject's screen content, and we can see their eye gaze position as represented here in the form of what we call a fixation map. So these are a series of circles connected with lines, which represent where the eye gaze is fixated on. The numerical values represent a sequential counter, so 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. If we ever pause the playback and the action, we can see the flow of the eye movement. And the numerical value beneath represents the fixation dwell time in seconds. So 0.759 seconds, 0.772, 0.334 seconds, 0.294. And the circles are sized relative to the dwell time. So pretty straightforward stuff. We can show, as seen here, a web page, or we can show a series of images or slides. We have the option to randomize those or program the display order or the display duration. We can also show videos. So there's a number of ways that we can program and show the stimuli. So I'm going to switch the demonstration here to show another video. And this other video is a television commercial, a Super Bowl commercial from a few years back for Doritos chips. And this shows an aggregation of 25 user recordings. Each individual dot represents an individual user's gaze. And as we can see, people are most attracted to facial features primarily. And then secondary to that would be text or product placements. In this example, we have used our areas of interest feature and highlighted the Doritos bag. We've made our user recordings and we've drawn a highlight over the product. And we've called this AOI Doritos 1. And we've had the software calculate for us the metrics of this area that we've defined. 22 of 25 users have looked at this area. The average time to first view was at 19.68 seconds. The average time viewed duration was 0.46 seconds, and 9 out of 25 users revisited this space. A revisit is where someone has looked at this area, looked somewhere else, and looked back at this area once again. And the average number of revisits is 1.22. And revisits signify interest in a particular area. So this is a demonstration of video stimuli in gaze point. And the visualization method used here is called B-swarm. And they would be a fixation dot without the connection lines. The next item that I would like to talk about is the biometrics hardware. This is the hardware that can be added to any eye tracking package. It includes finger module, in which you insert 2 fingers, which have sensors that will capture the heart rate and the skin response changes. And we have a round dial called dial module. And this is a self-reporting subjective feedback dial. So in some marketing use cases, researchers have asked the user to turn the dial to the left if they feel positive feelings, turn it to the right if they feel negative feelings in response to whatever's being shown, or keep it in the center if they feel neutral feelings. And so this is the subjective feedback dial. And here is a video showing how the biometrics hardware and eye tracking is used together in conjunction. The subject has to insert 2 fingers into the finger probe. It can be either left hand or right hand. And in this demonstration, we're showing the dial module being used in the left hand. So all of this data that's being collected, the heart rate, skin response changes, the eye tracking data, the pupil size changes, is all synchronized within GazePoint software. And this takes the challenge of synchronization of data using hardware from multiple vendors, takes that out of the equation, simplifies the process for researchers. Once we've finished the recording, we see here now the data being played back, and we've visualized the eye tracking and the biometric data together. And we can see in real time the pupil change, the pupil size, the heart rate, and the skin response values, as well as the dial value here in this case. I'm moving on to another video to show another experiment for which one of our clients in the cosmetics industry was interested in conducting. They were interested in a comparison of gaze data on faces that had makeup versus faces that were not wearing any makeup. And in this case, they've shown images of two faces. And here we are demonstrating in this video how we add the areas of interest to perform the automated calculation of the metrics based on our defined area. So if I rewind this video again, we can see that we first need to click on the Add AOI icon, and then we need to draw and position the AOI in the correct location. And then we name the AOI accordingly. And the software will do the calculations for us based on the user recordings that are selected and to be included in the calculation and reporting. And the AOI data calculations can be exported in an Excel format, CSV file, which can be opened in Excel. And the raw data can also be all exported in a CSV file as well. And then next, I would like to show you the publications page on our website. So on the GazePoint website, gazept.com, if you go to the applications section and under publications, you can pull up this page, which lists papers that have been published referencing GazePoint. And I believe currently there's over 100 papers listed here. And you can browse here and have a look at what other researchers have published using GazePoint, and perhaps give you some ideas as to how you can use this equipment to publish and conduct your own research. For example, there's a paper here titled "A Physiology-Based Approach for Estimating of Mental Fatigue Levels with Both High Time Resolution and High Level of Granularity." That could be something that may be within your realm of interest. So there's a lot of good material here, and this would be a good starting point for ideas on research and how to approach it. I would like to show here briefly an example of the CSV raw data file that can be exported by the software. As you can see.
The reason I stopped it is that he forgot to change screens, and all is there is the citations or publications there, and he goes on talking about how you can export to SPSS and CSV. Again, I want to take this moment to apologize for being a little shaky here. I wanted to show that video first before going into showing you the software. Then it would have made more sense. So again, the eye tracking, depending upon your interest, you can use this particular device in a manner just for your particular research questions. Optimal performance, I thought about, say I had an image from like a hockey game, right? And it was an image taken, from behind me as a goalie. And we could look at, what our goalies are looking at. You could look at video. You can be studying video. Think about film study for sports. What are they looking at? What's a quarterback looking at? I mean, you can be able to track eyes. to see exactly what they're looking at. If they're drifting, if they're not catching certain things. And the thing I found interesting about the piece about the cosmetics is that I know that there are some ERP tests using faces and things of that nature, and you can get emotional responses out of looking at the various faces and look at where the eyes are tracking to. So again, it's just up to your imagination. I would, depending on what you want to use, it's set up to take multiple formats. Is what I was trying to show earlier. I'm glad finally the video continued because Johnny went in talking about it. He was talking about, just to let you know, his devices, the Gaze Point devices, are in many research institutions in their research facilities. And he named a few of them. Here in the United States, in the UK and France, are particularly using the Gaze Point 3, which we have for different, he said research psychology departments is how he phrased it, for performing different types of research. And so, again, it's just a matter of how to use this. I would use this with the MAP-B live. That's a 10-minute test. I would eye track it lifetime and then be able to look at individual during training on an easy script. I could look at it at medium, and I could look at it at a high level, and then I can compare. I would be able to compare where focus of the eyes were, which in for flight, for pilots, that's important, is your scan pattern, because you may miss something, so.
Nicholas, Sonia had a question.
Okay, go ahead, Sonia.
I do. I was interested to know, and you touched on it, what uses it possibly has beyond marketing. And you mentioned sports, which is where where I reside. And then you mentioned reviewing film. I want to make sure that I understand how this works a little bit. But can you tell where the eyes are tracking with a timestamp at certain points? And I'm asking that question for sports because you mentioned goalie or in any other sport, where the eye's looking at a specific time as they're watching the play unfold
Yeah.
versus just a general pattern.
In the video, if you're watching like a playback, let's use football, for example, of offensive play, and say you're looking at the quarterback and you want to track his eyes on how he's reading his progressions, for that. If you play that video, right, and you got the quarterback sitting there and under the eye tracker, right, and he's watching it, going through saying, hey, I want you to watch this film and tell me what you see. It's going to track. And that fixation line point that shows the sequential count and how many seconds of the dwell time that he's looking at a particular area, then you can pause it and look at it and see how it clusters around that, or even use the bee swarm plot to see, instead of using bee swarm, as Johnny mentioned, for individuals, the one I showed you earlier of myself, I just treated that as trials for myself. And then and then you can see how they cluster up in particular areas. And then you can use the AOI, the area of interest. You can do the box of the interest area that you maybe want to look at, and say you want to look at the right half of the field where you think you're going to have the opening, the area of interest. You can see how many times he looks over there, or if it doesn't even look over there. So you would be able to, depending on the type of graphs, you got a lot of latitude with the type of graphs that you can use to be able to get that information to improve performance.
Very
We also use it for looking at attention to tasks. Like if you have a red dot that appears every once in a while in a field of blue dots, you can see whether people spot that. So there's all kinds of uses. So other questions, comments, because I thought this was great. Remember, you're going to try it next August. We're bringing this thing to the in-person.
Yes, in August, and I was supposed to be at the RLE this past August, but I started had a new opportunity and I wasn't able to come. And so I was not able to demonstrate this. I will be there this upcoming August to have this set up. We'll have dual monitors set up and multiple different opportunities to try different types of media, from text page to video to I'll even have the map be with me if you want to give that a swirl, you know, to check it out.
I have a question in
Plus,
regards to how it could be used in as for performing. Is it possible that it can be used for us like being able to take a basketball player next play, such as situational awareness, watching their gaze pattern, watching to see are they in a position to where they're normally shooting, or are they in a position to looking to pass or something like that?
if you're able, if you're watching as a film, because this is a stationary device,
Mm,
okay, but there are devices that are called wearables, okay, that you can
mm,
put on your player and put him out on the court and have him shoot, and you can gain data that way as well. But if he's watching film and you're going over it with him, you can look to see what he's looking at by tracking his eyes during a particular play, and then up build his performance from there. But if you're looking at something that's actually going to be actually with him moving, you know, basketball player, a wearable would probably be a better choice, because you would gain that information lifetime while he's actually doing what he's doing, passing the ball, coming off, setting a pick, or so forth. But a wearable in your particular question would probably be a better option. This stationary is remember, this particular unit is stationary, so you're looking at media as far as film. So if you're looking at film of him and he's looking at that film and you tell him to be in that position, assume the role, then you would be able to kind of gain information from that.
so
Nick, does the military use this?
Yes, I worked on a project in Alamogordo, New Mexico, personally, with the F-117s before our first flight into Iraq, and we used about a probably close to $30,000 eye tracking device inside the F-117 cockpit to track scan patterns in that cockpit, because that the F-117 cockpit it's not user friendly. It's not in the scan pattern. It's not like Mike Brock, who's graduated from here, flying the F-22 that has the helmet that has everything coming in there. The F-117, you actually got controls and dials coming down the side and all across the center, and the center weapons array in the middle. And so we were trying to look what they were focusing on most, because some were skipping over certain things they should be checking, and they weren't. But yes, I've used it. I personally used it in research, and the Gaze Point 3 is currently being used by the Department of Navy on the East Coast for research right now.
So is anyone using it for like training? Like, I don't know, I was just thinking like drone operation where you have an open field and a lot of distractions.
Well,
And
again, this
training people
particular,
out of that,
yeah, this
or
particular,
recognizing what a distraction is.
actually, this particular device, again, being stationary, you would have to have some type of media to interface with it being stationary. Now, again,
Simulator, like a simulator environment.
yeah, a simulator would work. You could mount this in a simulator. That's what we did with the F-117s, is mount a different type of unit inside there. But yes, you could do that. But a lot of I do know of some drone training that they're using right now. They're looking at ways for what's the best way to say it? there is a SEAL team on the East Coast that is being trained to fly drones on a particular mission. Okay, and so this is real life stuff. So they're being trained. So that's not classified to fly drones. The problem is how do they fly the drone without crashing it into the ground? So they're trying to come up with ways to train them to avoid distractions. And you could think of multiple distractions on a tier 1 unit. It's going to be bullets flying, what's moving, what's there. So yes, but there are some research labs. There's one right outside me where I used to work at. They've added a ground simulation training facility, and they have eye tracking in there that actually tracks. They focus in on, or they use wearables to train as well, because they're multitasking.
That's what I was thinking, that it would be maybe that would be the application during multitasking.
Yeah, they're multitasking
And
and
training
they're
for distractions.
yes, and outside of the eye tracker, just to take it one step, they are going to AV training as well to simulate some things, because some of the AV devices can track eye movement, but I don't know how robust it is.
Nicholas,
Thank
if you
Other
see,
questions?
I could see the area of interest being defined to use as a way to train where the eyes should be looking. Do you know that they do that, or is it all sort of video, like you play back and then look at the statistics and walk the person through it that way?
Say that one more time, Joel. It cut out on me. I'm sorry.
So I could just see if like, let's say a flight simulator,
Mm-hmm.
you want to track where things are going to go. So if you
Mhm.
define the areas of interest where the areas that you want to see,
Mm-hmm.
if they should go there, if they did go there,
Right.
and then turn it into like to offer feedback live
Yes.
as you're doing it. Use
Actually,
that way
yes,
too?
because definitely, because in the Apache, a lot of young pilots think the Apache's a super Ferrari, and they get in there and they over torque the aircraft. Okay, this is kind of in my specialty area because I'm a human factors guy. So they over torque it, but what they fail to do a lot of times is that they don't pay attention to any of the gauges dealing with torque, oil pressure, rotor speed, and they bypass it because they think they're just, start and go. And yes, you can use it for feedback, because mounting in a simulator is the easiest way to gain data on dealing with pilots. I've never collected eye tracking data in flight. I've only collected EEG data in flight, but not eye tracking data in an actual aircraft. So yes,
Thanks.
definitely.
I'm really intrigued with the looking at the electrodermal activity and the heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
Yeah, when I would,
I don't even know. I mean, I don't know what normatives they have and how they're, judging, whatever. But I just think that that's very exciting.
you know what? When I was talking to Johnny today, because I took today off to work with him. When I was talking to him, I said, I knew you had biometrics, but I did not know. And he was telling me all about it. And I said, I'm actually in a HRV class, and I see you have IBI down here and all of this stuff. And it got me thinking, because there's an article. I don't know if Rich shared it with me or I shared it with him, about the F-16 training squadron out in California, that they were collecting HRV data and all kinds of everything. But it made me think about how this can be used in simulated environments to be able to gain that additional information without having to have a separate piece of equipment strapped onto you. And then that device also has an input device too, for whether we call it positive or negative, good or bad, however you want to set, however you want to set up your experiment. And it made me think about what we're kind of talking about in the HRV class right now. Could that be used in somehow or fashion or something to,
I mean, there would have to be a judgment about where was the right place to look. And if
Yes.
one if one's heart rate, went up or went down, when they
Yeah.
were looking at the wrong place to look based upon, whatever, it would be interesting. And also skin conductance, because, that's so immediate. I think hey guys, when you're thinking about dissertations, this is looking quite good.
I
I
have
found
heard.
that fascinating. Hang on, Nick. I
Oh,
found
sorry.
that fascinating as well. Costs over $800 to add that onto it. So
That's not a
let's
lot of
say
money
we
when you
can't-
think about it. That's really not a
is
lot
that-
of money. As long as they
no,
have
it's
it,
not.
as long as it's not junky, so yeah.
Well, what I was about to suggest is let's get some experience using this thing. And if someone wants to add it to a practice study, we'll buy the extra psychophysiological monitoring, because that, as Cynthia said, is incredibly cool. I didn't know about this either. So chances are we're going to go for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if they came out with it first or if Biopack. Cynthia sent me a thing that said that Toby, who is their main competitor,
Yeah.
for eye tracking, they interface with Biopack equipment, and so that's why he was alluding to the point of not having to have additional third-party equipment. So it is fascinating just to think about what you can and can do with the eye tracking device. And I've showed it before. I'm going to disconnect it here and I'll hold it up for everybody to see. It's got multiple cables, but this, you saw it in the video. The device itself, let me see it. The device itself is this big, and I've got the optional stand on it to give a little bit of height because of the way my chair and desk was. But it's that big. It looks like something from, if you guys remember, Battlestar Galactica, the Cylons. It looks like their little face thing right there. But it's that big, and it folds up, and it's got a mount to put it on a laptop, so it doesn't slide. And then this extra mount comes off to give you more height if you need it, or to adjust it for the particular individual. And again, you can use this with somebody that wears glasses. You just have to adjust the distance from 65 centimeters back to about 50. But when you're setting that up and you're getting the distance, it has a little ball that will tell you you're too far or too close. And then when it centers in that, you got the correct distance, and then the boxes come up around the eyes. And you saw too that when he was talking about the eye part, you saw red blocks. That's blinks. When I was trying to set it up and do it on myself, I was getting red boxes all over the place because I was trying to look at two monitors and trying to center the thing on myself, and I was blinking all the time. But it's a great device, and we need to thank the foundation, Brain Research Foundation, Rich's Foundation.
It's not my foundation, it's a foundation.
Okay, yeah, the foundation, the Brain Foundation, for purchasing this for our use as students. I think look through the articles, maybe get some ideas. There's a lot that can be done with it. Just gotta think about it.
Who knows, maybe when you get to that point, for all you newbies, Nick will have graduated and he can be on your committee.
That's
Well,
if I graduate.
What is this if?
don't say that.
That's ridiculous. What is this if? Anyway,
Okay,
we
well,
are at time,
yeah.
everyone.
Nick, thanks very much. Great
That was
presentation.
wonderful. I feel your pain when it comes to the technological, hiccups, but I really appreciate your effort into making this happen tonight. I really do.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Just real quick, everybody, when I was asked to do this, I thought it was a presentation for the practical uses, so I made a PowerPoint, but it was actually a demonstration. And so I tried to get it together so everybody would be able to see it hands-on, because this is the most important thing. So at the RLE, definitely come by and try it out.
I'm gonna
So-
try it.
So
I want to see how messed up I am because of where I look.
and I'm going to be refining once we're in person too, and have two solid screens and working with another person. We'll be able to breeze right through this really quick and change media, and the software is very user friendly. Collect data you collect, stop, start, record. You know, the part is getting everything set up and having the necessary power, and it has to be right now a Windows computer. So sorry for you Mac people right now.
Well, thank you for that.
Okay,
right.
thanks again.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
That was
Bye-bye.
great, Nick.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You too.